Welcome to Algebra, Chapter 2, Section 6, Ratios, Rates, and Conversions. This is the first thing that should be in your notes. This is a definition. The definition is a ratio. A ratio is a comparison of two numbers with a division. A ratio can be written in many forms. Below it with a division sign, a colon, or the word 2 in the middle. Here's an example. You don't have to put this in your notes, but do pay attention. We're talking about ratio of passing grades to failing grades. So every 5 passing grades would give us 1 failing. That's how you read this. So if there's 10 passing, there's 2 failing. If there's 20 passing, 4 failing. If there's 25 passing, there's 5 failing. You can see these are multiples. 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 2 is 2. 5 times 4 is 20. 1 times what? 4 is 4. And 5 times 5 is 25. And 1 times 5 is 5. Now this last one is my answer, because the last one tells me how many people failed. Remember, this is passing grades to failing grades. So the first number is passing, the second is failing. So I had 5 people that failed in this class. Here we are at our second entry into your notes. It's another definition. The definition is rate. A rate is a ratio, but it's a special ratio. It's a ratio that compares two numbers with different units. We have a lot of this in our normal everyday life. You have earnings. If you work a job, you may get dollars per hour. If you drive a car or ride in a car, in your case, miles per hour. And in our next example, you're going to see price per shirt. Entry into your notes is also a definition. This one is made up of unit rate. A rate with a denominator of 1 is called a unit rate. So if we can get the denominator to equal 1 unit, it's called a unit rate. Here's another example. You are driving 140 miles in 2 hours. What's the unit rate? Now remember, for a unit rate, we want a denominator of 1. But what we know is we have 140 miles in 2 hours. So we want this to equal 1. A couple different ways you can do this. You can use proportions. You could also look at this and say, okay, to get from 2 to 1, I divided by 2. So to get from 140 to my unknown, I'm also going to divide by 2 and find out my answer is 70. So my unit rate is 70 miles per hour, per 1 hour. Here's another example. In this example, we're shopping for t-shirts, and we have 3 different options. We have store A. This sells our t-shirts at $25 for 2 shirts. We have store B, which sells $45, will get you 4 shirts. And then we have store C, which will sell you $30 will sell you 3 shirts. And we need to determine the unit rate for each one. Go ahead and stop the video. Put this in your notes as example number 4. Try to figure out what it is and turn these notes back on, please. As you can see, I wrote the answers down. In the first one, I looked at and I divided by 2, top and bottom, to get an equivalent fraction. Divided by 4 in the second one in B, and divided by 3 in the last one. So which store has the best price? Yep, that's store C at $10 a shirt. Notes is a definition. Be careful here, because the definition I want you to use is conversion factor. The definition is conversion factor. And a conversion factor is a ratio of 2 equivalent measures that are always equal to 1. The example I have here is 12 inches to 1 foot. We know that 12 inches equals 1 foot. So we can put 12 inches over 1 foot as a conversion factor because it's equivalent to 1. It's the same thing top and bottom. The sixth thing in your notes, the sixth thing is convert a measure from feet to inches or inches to feet. And we're going to use the conversion factor. So we have feet. If we make this into a fraction, it'd be 3.5 over 1. we're going to multiply it by a fraction that is equivalent top and bottom. For example, 12 inches over 1 foot. Now I put feet on the bottom because feet would basically cancel out, leaving me only inches left. And it's kind of a funky way of thinking about it, but if you do think about it that way, you will see how it lines up. So now I have 12 times 3.5 feet, which is 42 inches. On the second example, I have 60 inches. Again, make it a fraction. And this time my conversion factor is going to be 1 foot over 12 inches. Can you tell me why I put inches on the bottom? Yes, because I'm going to be left with feet when I'm done. And that gives me 60 divided by 12 feet, which is 5 feet. You don't have to put in your notes, but I do want you to pay attention to. We're going to convert from minutes to hours. So we're going to take the 330 minutes, put it over 1, and we're going to multiply it by something that relates minutes and hours. Now the minutes needs to be at the bottom so it cancels out, quote unquote. And we're going to put hours on top. Now what do we know about hours, minutes? We know that 1 hour is 60 minutes. So we'll do our canceling. And I'm going to divide the bottom by 10 and the top by 10, just to make my math easier. So I'm going to have 33 over 6 hours. And then you know that is 5.5 hours. And we will do the same thing going from $4.23 to pennies. So I want to get a pennies answer over here. So you need to multiply by something that's going to take away the dollars and give me pennies. Well, I know that $1 is 100 pennies. So what I can do is I can multiply those across. So 4.23 times 100 is 423. So I earned 423 pennies in this problem. Take a moment and again look at our conversion factor. Notice that this equals 1. 1 hour is the same as 60 minutes. This equals 1. 100 is the same as $1. 100 pennies. And we're doing a lesson check. Write the 7, 8, 9, and 10 in your notes. And go ahead and, by the way, there are 16 ounces in a pound if you didn't know that. Use that information to convert from 2 pounds to ounces. When you are done, I want you to go ahead and take a look at the bottom. Double check yourself. You know all this vocabulary that you need to know. And how well can you compare and convert ratios and rates? I'll see you in class tomorrow.